Okay, and can I get the screen where I can see? Okay, I'll let you work on that. All right, everybody, it is after 2:00. It is 2:11 on April 27th. This is the last day of our budget hearings. We've been here for 3 weeks, and I apologize for the late start. We had some paperwork for the amendments that will be offered, and we needed to make sure they were correct. That has taken us a little bit of time, so I apologize. I think we can go. So I'm calling us to order, and if we could get a roll call, that would be terrific.
Certainly, Madam Chair. Councillor Cassett.
Here.
Councillor Lindell. Councillor Rivera.
Here.
Councillor Villarreal.
Present.
Councillor Romero-Worth.
Here,
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
thank you. Okay, I don't think we have any changes to the agenda.
No changes from staff, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. If we could get a motion to approve this agenda.
For approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this agenda. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Okay, I want to start with some staff recognitions, if we're ready to do that. I want to again state that, you know, putting together this budget is an enormous task, and we are very grateful for the people who work long and hard to get this done. And they include a number of people led by our finance director, Emily Oster. And we would like to take a moment to just as a committee recognize the work of Emily and her team. And so I don't know how you want to do that. You want to, maybe you have the certificates, so maybe call them up and we can, you know, just recognize everybody, and I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members of the committee, and thank you to everyone who's helped out with the budget hearings. I think I'm going to go down to the table so that I can shake hands with everyone and hand out your certificates.
I think actually, since we're on Zoom, would you mind bringing them up? Let's bring them up into
Okay.
camera view.
Sure, absolutely. So if you would come to the podium then, please, as your name is called. Alex Salazar. And I'll just read the certificate. So it says, it's a certificate of appreciation to Alejandro L. Salazar, Alejandrino, sorry, L. Salazar for exemplary contributions to the FY24 budget. Thank you so much for keeping us running day after day.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Benjamin Hoffacker. Ben, will you come to the podium, please? And it is with great appreciation that I present this certificate of exemplary contribution to the FY24 budget to Mr. Benjamin Hoffacker. Thank you so much, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Emily.
Next, we have Janelle Chavez, and Janelle doesn't have to travel far. Janelle has been our presenter throughout this entire process. Can you step to the podium, Janelle, so they can see you on Zoom? All right. Thank you so much, Janelle, for keeping the presentations running throughout our budget hearings. Thank you, Janelle. And in Janelle's case, she's also part of our budget team. So she helped develop the budget book and all of the documents that we're reviewing over the last 3 weeks. So big thank you. And she's also the newest member of the budget team. So we're delighted that she joined us.
Yes, thank you and welcome.
Next up, we have Amanda Romero. I don't see Amanda. I'm not sure if she's in the room with us. So we'll hold her certificate. Amanda Romero is also part of the budget team. She's a senior budget analyst. And then we have the amazing Anita Medina, the queen of the POL. We come down to the podium. I wouldn't know anything about that. Anita, thank you so much. I'm so delighted to present you with this certificate recognizing your huge contributions to the creation of this FY24 budget. All right, and we're on to Andy Hopkins, our budget officer. Yay! Andy really needs no introduction. I don't know what I could say about Andy that he doesn't, that everyone doesn't already know. I'll turn it over to the mayor for this one. MVP, very well said. Yeah, absolutely. Andy has been with the city doing budget for over 20 years, and we are just so incredibly lucky and grateful to have you as part of the team as the budget officer and leading this overall effort. Andy is really the author of the budget book and the coordinator and the leader of the team that puts this effort together and makes it happen. So Andy, thank you so much. All right, next we have the incredible Alexis Latero.
Woohoo!
Yeah, Alexis also has been doing budget for a number of years, and she brings a wealth of both city and state experience into the process. And I really just want to specifically recognize Alexis for innovation in this budget process. I think a lot of the changes that I'm most proud of in this year's budget, the capital allocation that we reviewed last year, the changes to the timeline to allow the committee more time to review the budget book. A lot of these ideas came directly from Alexis, and her years of experience and knowledge of the process have brought so much to this budget. And I just want to say thank you so much, Alexis. All right. Next, we have Yvette Gonzalez, and this is, let's start with a big round of applause for Yvette. So Yvette jumped in at a time when we've been very short-staffed in finance, and we have had, 11 finance committee meetings this month, in the month of April, and Yvette jumped in with very little notice. And she got down to business. She got our agendas. She's doing our minutes. She's keeping me organized, making sure that I don't forget, a million different things in every single day. And Yvette, I mean, there's really no words to say how much you do for the finance department, how much you've contributed to this budget process. And Yvette jumped in when another staff member was out, and she's just, knocked it out of the park. Home run. Yeah.
Hey.
All right. And thank you to the committee and to the mayor and the city manager for allowing me to recognize the team. I really could not have done it even for a single day without them.
Thank you, Director Oster. And unfortunately, where's your certificate? We're going to work on that because, I think I appreciate the contributions of all the people in this chamber from our IT folks and then all the staff that's been working hard to put this together and to really get us the information we need and to answer our questions in timely ways, and your leadership in bringing that all together. So thank you to you as well. Again, this is a huge lift, and I'm really happy to acknowledge the work of the finance team. So thank you.
Madam Chair, can I
Yes.
interject as well?
Oh, Mr. City Manager, you may.
Hi, thank you. We don't have a certificate for Director Oster right now, but I'd be remiss if I didn't publicly say what an extraordinary addition she's been to our team in the some 6 or 7 months that she's been here. She is smart, she is kind, she is caring, she is a good teammate, she's a good communicator. She's frankly already on my all-star team of people who I would hire anytime or any place I could get her to join my team. And frankly, every reference that I called when we hired her said the exact same thing. So a steady hand, a thoughtful mind, creative about how we do this work, She's done extraordinary work to make her team feel valued and welcome. And I just want to make sure that she knows how much she is valued and welcomed here as well.
Well, thank you so much. I'm deeply grateful to be a part of this team. Thank you.
And the one adjective you didn't use is cool cucumber. She is one cool cucumber. So I appreciate you tremendously, Emily, and thank you to everybody. Okay, that was fun and important. Let's get this budget rolled out and off to the governing body. What I'd like to do, we still have the matter. We had been preliminarily approving all of the department budgets, and I would now entertain a motion to preliminarily approve the general government budget. And then we'll move on to a motion on the resolution for the overall budget and the amendments that are in front of us.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the general government budget preliminarily. Is there discussion on this? And I don't see any discussion, so can we call the roll, please?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Rivera, Counselor Virial,
I'll abstain.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Counselor Merowith.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so now we have preliminarily approved all of the department budgets for this budget. If we could now get a motion for approval of the resolution which adopts the City of Santa Fe's fiscal year 2023-2024 operating and capital budgets.
So moved.
Or a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to approve this resolution, and we can now go to discussion and the offering of the two amendments. And I just want to check, do we have those amendments now in PrimeGov? I haven't.
Madam Chair, let me check and see.
Yeah, let me check as well. If you refresh your screens. Not seeing them yet. Maybe what we can do is let's we have hard copies in the chamber. They are being loaded to PrimeGov. We have spoken about these, but maybe we could walk through. Let's do the what I'll call the easier one first. Actually, I'm not sure which one's harder and which one's easier. We'll do the one that my name is on. How about that? So we do have an amendment that will move. There was $100,000 in this budget that was in the city clerk's office, and I believe, was it in, let's see, let me just go. Yeah, so it was in the Office of Community, or it was in the Department of Community Engagement. And so we are moving, and it was designated for chart. And we are moving that money from the Community Engagement Department over to the city manager's office. And this amendment makes that happen. And the idea being that then this money will then go towards the work of standing up an Office of Equity and Inclusion. And Councilwoman Villarreal is co-sponsoring this with me, and we are also working with other councilors to offer a resolution that will create this department internally in city government. And Councilwoman, I don't know if you wanted to add to that. Okay, and still looking to see if they've been loaded on PrimeGov. Do we have any sense of where we are on that?
Madam Chair, I'm just sending a message right now to check on the status.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
would it be possible to have those emailed to me while we're waiting for that? Is that doable or No.
You can work on that, yes.
Yes, just a moment. Let me get them scanned and we'll email them over to you. Just a moment, Counselor Cassidy.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Counselor Rivera.
we're waiting for that to happen. Can I ask the director a question?
Yes, Director Oster?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So I had asked in public for some information regarding the retention and hiring bonuses for fire. And I was told that they were placed into a budget already, and Ms. Oster or Director Oster sent that information over and just wanted you to explain it in public since the question was in public.
Sure, absolutely. Madam Chair and Counselor Rivera, I'd be happy to. So the question was about how the 703,000 that's referenced on, I believe it's page 9, page 9 of the budget book. Yes, at the very bottom of page 9 in the executive summary, there is a reference to $703,000 for hiring and retention incentives for first responders in the fire and police department. And the question was regarding how that money will be divided between fire and police. Councilor Rivera, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay, thank you. So Madam Chair and councilors, the Human Resources Department provided some background information regarding how that 703,000 was calculated for the budget process. And so the way that breaks down, and this is, preliminary estimate, we don't know exactly what kind of hiring we're going to have in FY24. This is a preliminary estimate based on what we hope to have in FY24. And I'll just note that these estimates don't include benefits. So there will be a little bit, of they're estimates for budget purposes. They're not exact figures. But on the police side, we were estimating approximately 7 lateral hire incentives at $15,000 per lateral hire, 10 police cadet hire incentives at $1,000 per hire, and 136 police retention incentives at $2,000 per employee. So that's a total of $387,000. I will note that 105,000 will be one of those items that we're bringing forward from the FY23 budget. We have this program in FY23, and we don't expect to spend the full amount that was allocated to police. So we'll pull that forward into FY24 to support the continuation of the program in FY24. On the fire side, we're looking at hopefully up to 12 new hire incentives at $1,000 for a total of 12,000, and 152 retention incentives at $2,000. So that's a total of 316 for fire. 316,000, excuse me.
Can I ask the fire chief a quick question since he's
Yes.
the only one here, I think?
Madam Chair, Counselor Rivera.
Yeah, so the 12 firefighter new hire incentives, I guess there's some flexibility there, Director Oster, in case either more or less are hired. That's what.
Madam Chair and Councilor Rivera, and the chief may be able to add to this. I believe that this program is subject to the collective bargaining agreement. So I think these were estimates for budgetary purposes, but the specific amounts will be subject to negotiation with the bargaining unit.
Well, not for new hires, right? Since they're not part of the collective bargaining agreement.
Madam Chair, Counselor Rivera, yeah, so just for my clarification too, is the new hires would be the new people we hire in August, I guess would be $1,000. I guess that would be the conversation with the new hires, because we have some that are getting off probation now or going to the field on May 30th, but maybe if it's FY24 budget, I have 12 to 13 vacancies that we're hoping to hire on August 1st for class 3-5 or class 3-6, I'm sorry.
Madam Chair and Councilors, I'm just looking at the information that HR provided, and I don't know if Assistant Director Latero is in the room. These were the figures that we used to estimate the amount that we needed to allocate to this program. So as far as the new hire incentives, the information that I have shows an estimate of 12, which it sounds like would correspond with the new hires that the chief mentioned that he expects to onboard in August. I see Assistant Director Latero nodding her head.
And this would be so I thought when we heard your budget earlier earlier in the budget sessions, you had over 200 employees.
Madam Chair, Counselor Rivera, I just did the numbers, so I have 149 in ops. And then I also have 35 between EMS and support services. So I have a total of 197. And hopefully with the 4 additional that we do today, my total POL would be 201 employees.
So this is only looking at 152 directors so I guess which group is?
Madam Chair and Councilor Rivera, I think the calculation was based on certified personnel.
It would just be firefighters?
Director Otero, if you could come up to the podium.
Madam Chair, Councilor Rivera, yes, that's correct. It's only for the certified personnel.
Okay, and I assume that's the same for police?
That's correct.
So you have positions in that are, I guess all of the positions I'm thinking of, like in support services, most of them are sworn, right?
Madam Chair, Counselor Rivera, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, just curious as to the numbers there, the personnel, but that makes sense. Thank you.
Councilwoman Villarreal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a follow-up. So I thought my understanding was hiring and retention incentives were for new employees or recently hired. And it sounds like everybody in the department gets a retention bonus. Is that how you all were? It's different from last year, is that? So this time it's all staff or what you called certified personnel.
Madam Chair, Councilor Villarreal, we scaled back the program is what we did. Last year, we budgeted 2.7 million and it was for all city employees.
Mhm.
In FY24, it's been scaled back to just the fire department or firefighters and police officers.
Okay. I was thinking, maybe I'm thinking the amount was higher for new hires last year. Is that what I'm thinking? I'm just trying to remember. The amount was different. And I was assuming it was just the new hires are, trying to get it was an incentive to work for the city. So go ahead.
Madam Chair, Councilor Villarreal, it is a little confusing, and that is why I reached out to HR and asked them to do the calculation for us. There is money budgeted in the police department a little differently. There's a different amount. I believe it's $15,000. I don't have the email in front of me for lateral hires. So there's some nuances to it that it's not like a straight across the board issue. And those amounts, that lateral hire incentives are actually budgeted in PD. They're not budgeted in HR.
Right. Confusing. Is there a way to send us something that visualizes that breakdown? Like what was from last year? Is there a carryover from last year? No.
Madam Chair, Council Villareal, no, this isn't we aren't using carry forward money.
Okay.
We just reduce the amount we're budgeting in FY '24.
Okay.
Madam Chair, can I intervene?
Please.
Sure, Mr. City Manager.
Madam Chair, Councilor Villarreal. So as we looked at the budget for the coming year, there were a couple of considerations that we were making. One of which is, as we get farther and farther from the white hot moment of the COVID pandemic, the need for retention incentives or hiring incentives broadly, we believe the purpose of that has diminished except for a very few specific cases, particularly firefighters and police officers. And then knowing that we were going to see a significant increase for the city's investment in para and the city's investment in covering the healthcare coverage increases for city employees, that essentially was the bulk of what that money was for the retention incentives that we're doing. And so city staff will be getting their second retention incentive later this fiscal year, May or June. I forget what, mid-June. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so, but that will be the end of that program. We have a handful of positions that were posted for employment that still included language saying that those positions would get a hiring incentive. We are dealing with those on a case-by-case basis, but broadly at the beginning of this calendar year, we stopped doing the hiring incentives for city employees outside of the firefighters and the police. And so broadly, everything is being scaled back, but for the notion of firefighters and police, again, because of the importance of ensuring we have significant staff in those areas and the public support around that happening.
Thank you. That was
That
helpful.
helps.
Councilor Rivera.
Sorry, just one follow-up for the chief. How many personnel are we gonna need for fire station number 2, I think you're calling it?
Madam Chair, Councilor Rivera, my rough estimates and what I'm trying to accomplish in the next 3 to 4 years would be at least 40. We would have to, we'd have to increase to 40 to take on that new station. I've been trying to do some historical data from 1999 when we brought on Station 7 and seen what the difference was when 1999 when we brought Station 7 on and what impact was. So my rough estimates are 40 to 50 personnel total in the next 3 years once Station 2 is built or in a conversation in City Manager Blair.
Madam Chair, Councilor Rivera, if I can add to what the chief is saying as well, I want to make sure that the council all understands those are not 40 vacant positions we will be choosing to fill. Those will be 40 to 50 new positions the city will have to create in order to stand up the new fire station into the level that in which the chief thinks we need to. 40 to 50 new positions.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Wow. Okay, so Councilor Rivera, I think we'll go back to the amendment. That's okay. All right, so the two amendments that we'll be considering this afternoon have been loaded to PrimeGov. The one that we have been talking about is labeled Amendment C. Again, to refresh, this is the amendment that is being sponsored by myself and Councilwoman Villarreal to move $100,000 from the general government budget in the Office of Community Engagement over to the general government budget that is the city manager's office. And again, this is the $100,000 for chart. This is to combine it with money that already sits in the city manager's office to support an Office of Equity and Inclusion. So questions, so that's what it does. Questions from the committee? And if not, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this amendment. Is there further discussion?
Would you just explain one more time?
Yes.
the-
What it does?
Where it's coming from and what it's. doing?
So there's $100,000 in the community engagement office, which sits in the general government proposed budget. We are taking it from there and moving it to the city manager's office and budget so that it's all in one place. And we don't really have to do that. We could have left it where it was, but I think it's important that everybody knows A, where the money is, and B, that it's our intention to use this money to support an Office of Equity and Inclusion.
Is it the 100,000 for equity and inclusion, or was it the 100,000 on chart?
It's the 100,000 that's in the budget book marked as chart. And what we're saying is this is how that money's going to get used. If there's not further questions or discussion, if we could get a roll call, Director Oster.
Certainly, Madam Chair. Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Jane,
Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Villarreal,
Yes.
Counselor Miraworth.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so now we have a budget resolution with one amendment. The second amendment is labeled B. It has also been loaded to PrimeGov. And I don't know who's best to explain this. I don't know, Director Oster, if you want Director Ochoa. I'll turn it over to you all to walk through this one.
Madam Chair, I'll be happy to start it off, and then we have Director Ochoa and Chief Moya as well. So this amendment is for the fire department. And what this does, there is a memo that should be the second to last page that describes what we're wanting to do here. The fire department would like to create 4 new full-time equivalent positions. That is 3 forestry technicians and 1 behavioral health manager position. And the way that they're proposing to fund the creation of those new positions is by taking money from temporary salaries, so temp positions that didn't have benefits, and then adding additional money from contractual services and moving that into the personnel services category, some for salaries and some for benefits within the budget. So this movement is all occurring within the fire department's budget. It's a category move within the fire department's budget. And the proposal would create additional positions using funding from existing temp positions and then from existing contractual services in the fire department budget. And as far as the reason that this is being proposed, I would turn that over to Director Ochoa and the chief to talk about why they think this will be beneficial for the fire department.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll let Chief Moya describe the detail, but essentially recognizing that these 2 services within the fire department are very, very essential as we look at wildland. We're looking at lengthy fire seasons that we've never seen before. And then there are operational reasons, and Chief Moya, I think in the budget hearing explained that we have trouble attracting temporary wildland folks, and that's a real concern given the need in this area. In terms of the behavioral health manager, that's a role that is currently being a vital role that's currently being fulfilled via a contract. We have the opportunity without a budget impact to convert that to a long-time position for supporting the mobile integrated health unit and the alternative response unit primarily. What it also does is give the fire department an in-house expert on behavioral health, and frankly, the city as a whole, someone who's devoted to that, who has that expertise, who can oversee contracts in the fire department that also support the behavioral health needs of staff.
Chief, do you want to add anything?
Madam Chair, I think she covered everything. I think I'll just reiterate what you said about the wildland employees. Over the last 3 years, we've had a decrease in temporary seasonal employees wanting to work for us. I really don't know the reason. I think a lot of it had to do with COVID and due to the fact that, I think people are looking for long-term positions. And this, I think, will create it. We also, I didn't mention this on Thursday, but this has made an influence on how we actually have a bunch of people that started in this division and have moved to the structural side. So they'll start in wildland, they'll do their season work, and they'll realize they want to do this long-term. And, they can always have a career in wildland. That's the design of this program, is we have 9 people in that program with these if we get these 3 additional funded positions. And it's a career that if you don't want to do the structural side, you can stay in wildland and you can retire in the wildland division. So it has been a great program. The behavioral health manager position, I looked at it as a chance with Director Ochoa to, improve that division. We are all not here long term, but by us putting this in the POL and making it, it's showing the current administration and the current council and everybody that we're investing in this long term, and we're not doing this just out of a whim. So I think that's just the things I would like to add.
Great. And I would just add that this should have been included in the budget when it was first presented. And so this amendment is basically, it was an oversight that it wasn't in there. And this amendment will accomplish what was originally intended. It is signed by 3 members of the Finance Committee, and my name's not on it, but I still support it. And so I just, want to be clear about how this came about. It wasn't, this is something that should have been there to begin with, and we're just making that happen. So.
Correct. Thank you very much.
Okay, questions on this? Councilwoman Villarreal.
Madam Chair, I'm glad to see this is moving forward and just want to clarify. I think I brought this up at the last hearing about the title for behavioral health. It said coordinator in the booklet, and then we were talking about director, and then now it says manager. So I'm wondering why you all landed on this, because the contract position said it was a director position. So
Madam,
it concerns me a little bit because I want to make sure that people know it's a director position, but it says, so maybe you can share a little bit more about that.
Madam Chair, Councilman Villarreal, thanks for the question. Yes, we consulted with HR. We had preliminary conversations with them about doing this, and they're supportive of it. There's a concern about using the director title, given that the position is not envisioned as a department director, and there may create confusion with that word. It is a manager position, so manager seems more accurate. If we go through, the job description's been drafted and it'll go through the HR process. If in that process it's determined that a different title is preferred, then we would, work with HR on that. So the title can still be changed, but it is a high-level position within the fire department, and this position would also oversee staff.
That's interesting that HR has that perspective, because we have a lot of directors of divisions and director titles that aren't aren't the directors of departments. So I think hopefully it's semantics, excuse me, but I'm hoping that.
Madam Chair, Councilman Villarreal, I hope I'm not misspeaking, and Director Salazar may be able to provide information after this to all of you. My understanding is that division directors is a certain category and department directors are a certain category. But as far as I know, there are no other directors within the city. And so related to units of organization, that director position or title is important.
Okay. And then the amounts of the 344,981, the breakdown, what's the amount that's for the forestry technician and which is for the behavioral health manager?
Madam Chair, Councilor Villarreal, I can get you all that. So the 3 wildland positions, it is additional cost of each individual. Total salary and benefits is 64,607. So that's per wildland employee, with a total of 193,822. That's the total cost for them. The remainder of that money that was in there. So I had a total of $211,000 in temporary salaries in the wildland fund. And the rest of that went to the behavioral health manager position. And that position total salary and benefits was 151,530 was that position. So most of that came from the contractual position that we currently have in that for that contracted employee. And then the rest came from the wildland, the remainder of the wildland salary.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the additional information. That's all I have.
Okay, other questions on this amendment? And if not, can we get a roll call, please?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Virial,
Yes.
Counselor Miraworth.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so we have now a resolution adopting the City of Santa Fe's fiscal year 2023-2024 operating and capital budgets. It has been 3 times amended in the last 2 days. And I believe we are ready for final questions and discussion around this, and then we'll take a vote and close our 3 weeks together. So are there questions, further discussion? Yes, Councilwoman Villarreal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a clarification. So the members of the council that aren't on finance, they still have an opportunity to weigh in and potentially submit amendments of their own that we would then take on at the city governing body meeting on May 10th.
So yes, so what we're doing here today is approving the overall operating and capital budgets for 2023, 2024. And we have accepted 3 amendments to this resolution, and just so they have attached to the bill, essentially to the resolution. It will now go in front of it. Well, if it passes this committee, it goes to the full governing body for final approval. It's the same deal as any other piece of legislation. We'll have the opportunity to talk about it, ask questions, make amendments. And if the other members of the governing body who do not sit on finance have amendments, they of course need to make those requests through legislative services in the same manner that these were made. Other questions from the committee? Okay, we ready to vote? We could get a roll call, please.
Certainly, Madam Chair. Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Virial,
Yes.
Counselor Romeroworth.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Okay, with that, I want to take a moment to thank the members of the Finance Committee. It's been a lot of work, and I think been very interesting. And I think it's been a good opportunity for all of us to talk to the directors and their staffs and their teams and get a sense of, where we've been and kind of the direction that's being mapped out with the priorities in this budget. And I want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for the seriousness with which you have brought to the committee and to this process. And I just want to say thanks. Thank you again to Director Oster and her team in the back of the room. Really appreciate it. And onward now to the governing body. Thank you, everyone. And if there is no other comments, Mayor Weber.
I want to second what your chair just said. I know how long these meetings are and how much preparation you go through to get ready for them. And it's a lot to absorb in a very short period of time. It is also, as she said, a remarkable opportunity for the directors to report to you all in depth on what they consider their priorities and their achievements. It really is their budget more than anything else. That it gets built from the department leadership up, and to go through Emily's team and John to get to you all, and then for them to present it to you is probably the most significant act of city government that anybody can do. And so appreciate all the hard work. I appreciate the thoughtfulness and the good spirit. In spite of long hours, lots of good smiles and positive and tears. Yes, tears tears and, well, you're not kidding. You're right. I mean, there's tears and there's also great effort to fashion an even better working relationship with all of those directors. So I really appreciate it. I sit here and listen and take notes, but the real work is what you're doing and Emily's team and the directors are doing to produce something that represents the best effort we can all collaborate on for a budget that serves people as efficiently and effectively as we can. So I don't want to miss the opportunity to thank you. I really am grateful.
Councilwoman Villarreal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank staff personally, and I know there's a lot in here and we ask a lot, and I think it's not personal for one, and also just the expediency of you all getting us that information. And it's helpful, and including staff that we ask certain information for clarity. I felt like it was it got to us quickly so that we can make better decisions. So thank you to the team and everybody that was involved in this process, and also to our chair. It's hard to lead. It's hard to lead this effort and keep everybody kind of corralled and just different opinions and
I appreciate that.
and just keeping us on task.
It's not personal either.
Yes. It's important to have that kind of shepherding. So I appreciate you and for the time you took to listen to us and making sure that everybody felt like they got their time in for questions. So thank you.
Councilor Lindell.
Thank you, Chair. Everybody in this room and all the folks that sat in this room during the last 3 weeks. It's a mammoth task. Holy smokes, putting this budget together. It's $403 million that we're entrusted with from the public. It's public's money. And meeting our obligation of how to best move the city forward with that amount of money, no small task. And it's not like one department's elbowing the other, although they probably do a little bit, but not too much. I think it's an amazing thing that this gets put together, gets presented. I appreciated the highlights, the way the book was put together, that I could see the highlights of what had happened and what the big steep climbs were for this coming year fiscally. I think that probably everybody had massive amounts of time into this. New director did a terrific job. City Manager Blair, Mayor Weber, thank you. I think that this is a budget for all of us to be proud of. I think it gives us the greatest amount of traction with the money that we have and the goals that we've set out to achieve. Chair Romero Worth, you did a masterful job this year. Just really an amazing job of moving us through a $403 million budget. I know that you had a huge amount of work behind the scenes, aside from all the hours that we sat here. So hats off to the committee. I'm very proud of this budget. I think that we've done a great job. We've had a little bit of tweaking here at the end, all for the good. We may not agree on every little piece of it, but that's okay. We have a very, very good budget to move forward with, and it sets out the priorities of the city. And I think that it's something we can all get together and get behind and work for. So thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Counselor, for those comments. Counselor Cassett.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and I would echo the sentiments of my colleagues. I'm very sad I'm not with you guys today for the last day. But
Well,
no, go-
I said, we're sorry you're not feeling well, so rest up.
thank you. Yeah, the couch is right there. I'll be there in just a minute. But I really wanted to, of course, thank you to the staff and everybody who's come to talk about the work that you're doing in the department. And thank you for all that work. And I do agree. I believe it was the mayor who said, this is such an opportunity for us to get to see, oh, wow, there's a lot of me. Okay. It's such a wonderful opportunity for us to see what's happening throughout the departments that we don't really get to experience on a day-to-day basis. So I really think it's just such an incredible opportunity. And I really do want to give you a lot of credit, Madam Chair, for getting us through these. These are tough, and you have done a lot of work. And I really appreciate how we're starting to look at this process of budgeting and, just the amendments that have come forward now and really starting to think about what this looks like and where the balance of the council is. I know we've had a lot of that discussion. And I think that there's been a lot of thought that I've seen from the chair, from the city manager, and from the finance director. I've had wonderful conversations with everybody about kind of how we start to continue to improve the budget process. So I appreciate that a lot, because I know it's not necessarily an easy question, and it's often easier to just say, let's leave things the way that they are. So really wanted to make sure that was recognized, and that we'll continue to be working on that. So thank you.
Thank you. Feel better. Yes, Councilor Rivera.
You also wanted to thank the finance staff that have been here with us this entire time. So as tired as we are, I'm sure they're equally exhausted. Wanted to thank Director Oster for really only being here how many months?
Madam Chair, I think it's about 7 or 8 months.
Still a new employee, and to go through this with us. And you really did a great job, and your staff did a great job. Thanks to the committee as well. As tough as it was, I enjoyed being here with you guys. So appreciate that. And then to Madam Chair, masterful job, really. I know I offered some suggestions, and you took some, and some of them you didn't. And in the end, it was a decent process. So we always have a lot to learn. This is the first time we've been through this part of it the way with your lead, and I think it'll just get better from here. So thank you.
Thank you. I agree. We can continue to make some improvements, and definitely want to be looking at that in the next year. So really, again, thank you all, everybody in this room, and we are adjourned.
Feel better, Jamie.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. See you soon.
Bye.
Take lots of vitamin C, because y'all were around me yesterday. So like vitamin C, vitamin D, all the things. Zinc, just, Bye.